Section 13 of Lavender Lit 101 collection. Prelude to Royal Highness by Thomas Mann, translated from the German by A. Cecil Curtis. Prelude to Royal Highness by Thomas Mann. The scene is the Albrechtstrasse, the main artery of the capital, which runs from Albrechtsplatz and the old Schloss to the barracks of the Fusiliers of the Guard. The time is noon on an ordinary week day. The season of the year does not matter. The weather is fair to moderate. It is not raining, but the sky is not clear. It is a uniform light gray, uninteresting and somber, and the street lies in a dull and sober light which robs it of all mystery, all individuality. There is a moderate amount of traffic, without much noise and crowd, corresponding to the not over busy character of the town. Tram cars glide past, a cab or two rolls by, along the pavement stroll a few residents, colorless folk, passers by, the public people. Two officers, their hands in the slanting pockets of their gray greatcoats, approach each other, a general and a lieutenant. The general is coming from the Schloss, the lieutenant from the direction of the barracks. The lieutenant is quite young, a mere stripling, little more than a child. He has narrow shoulders, dark hair, and the wide cheekbones so common in this part of the world, blue, rather tired looking eyes, and a boyish face with a kind but reserved expression. The general has snow white hair, is tall and broad shouldered, altogether a commanding figure. His eyebrows look like cotton wool, and his mustache hangs right down over his mouth and chin. He walks with slow deliberation. His sword rattles on the asphalt, his plume flutters in the wind, and at every step he takes, the big red lapel of his coat flaps slowly up and down. And so these two draw near each other. Can this rencontre lead to any complication? Impossible. Every observer can foresee the course this meeting will naturally take. We have on one side and the other age and youth, authority and obedience, years of services and docile apprenticeship. A mighty hierarchical gulf, rules and prescriptions, separate the two. Natural organization, take thy course. And instead, what happens? Instead, the following surprising, painful, delightful, and topsy-turvy scene occurs. The general, noticing the young lieutenant's approach, alters his bearing in a surprising manner. He draws himself up, yet at the same time seems to get smaller. He tones down with a jerk, so to speak, the splendor of his appearance, stops the clatter of his sword, and while his face assumes a cross and embarrassed expression, he obviously cannot make up his mind where to turn his eyes, and tries to conceal the fact by staring from under his cotton wool eyebrows at the asphalt straight in front of him. The young lieutenant, too, betrays to the careful observer some slight embarrassment, which, however, strange to say, he seems to succeed, better than the gray haired general, in cloaking with a certain grace and self command. The tension of his mouth is relaxed into a smile at once modest and genial, and his eyes are directed with a quiet and self possessed calm, seemingly without an effort, over the general's shoulder and beyond. By now they have come within 3 paces of each other, and, instead of the prescribed salute, the young lieutenant throws his head slightly back, at the same time draws his right hand only his right, mark you out of his coat pocket, and makes with this same white gloved right hand a little encouraging and condescending movement, just opening the fingers with palm upward, nothing more. But the general, who has awaited this sign with his arms to his sides, raises his hand to his helmet, steps aside, bows, making a half circle as if to leave the pavement free, and deferentially greets the lieutenant with reddening cheeks and honest, modest eyes. Thereupon the lieutenant, his hand to his cap, answers the respectful greeting of his superior officer, answers it with a look of childlike friendliness, answers it, and goes on his way. A miracle, a freak of fancy. He goes on his way. People look at him, but he looks at nobody, looks straight ahead through the crowd, with something of the air of a woman who knows that she is being looked at. People greet him. He returns the greeting, heartily and yet distantly. He seems not to walk very easily. It looks as if he were not much accustomed to the use of his legs, or as if the general attention he excites bothers him, so irregular and hesitating in his gait. Indeed, at times he seems to limp. A policeman springs to attention. A smart woman, coming out of a shop, smiles and curtsies. People turn round to look at him, nudge each other, stare at him, and softly whisper his name. It is Claus Heinrich, the younger brother of Albrecht II, and heir presumptive to the throne. There he goes. He is still in view. Known and yet a stranger, he moves among the crowd people all around him, and yet as if alone. He goes on his lonely way and carries on his narrow shoulders the burden of his Highness. End of Prelude to Royal Highness by Thomas Mann.